Hey guys, I'm Nate. Welcome back to the workshop where today we're going to be building ourselves a Batman-style grappling gun. Now, it's not going to have the same retracting abilities that something built by a billionaire bat would have, but it's a lot easier to make and it's still a lot of fun to play with. The supplies are low cost and easy to get your hands on, and there's a good chance you already have most of them lying around somewhere. We've got some electrical tape, a ballpoint pen, an old marker, 2 pencils, a clothespin, 2 wide thickness rubber bands, 3 paper clips, and a box of dental floss. Along with our electrical tape, we've also got a hot glue gun that we'll use for some of our attachments. First, let's take our 2 pencils and secure them together using our tape. Next, let's grab our box of dental floss, and we're going to want to attach our pencils onto the bottom of that. We're using the bottom partly because we want to be able to open our floss later, but also because these boxes tend to have a curved top, which is a lot harder to stably attach something to. While adding the tape, I want to make sure that none of it overlaps with the lid of our container, because we do still want to be able to open and close it whenever we need. That feels pretty securely attached. Let's move on to the next step, and to do that, let's grab our marker. So we need an empty plastic tube, and we're going to take that from the front part of the marker, and then we want the back part of the marker where it attaches onto the lid the way I've got it right now. We don't need any of the writing nib, and there's a little bit of plastic housing down inside the tube right here. So let's cut this off right about here, and then we'll cut the rest of the marker tube approximately in half. We don't need the whole cap, we only need about 1 centimeter of it, so let's mark that spot as well. Now let's cut along these lines. We can use either a razor blade or a hacksaw or something like that. Before I start cutting into that, I am just going to try and pull the nib out here. We've still got a cartridge full of ink inside this tube, which I'm just going to end up cutting right through. That's all right. See it stain my saw blade orange. There's the ink cartridge inside for our pen and marker. Now we just need to cut off the end of our cap. We've now got a hollow tube that we can see right through. We have another piece of tube with the end still on it, which clips nicely into the end piece of our marker cap. Let's set these 2 pieces aside for the moment and move on to this piece. So this is going to be a sort of guiding barrel for our projectile, which is going to be our grappling hook. These markers have some little ridges down inside them that help keep that tube of ink in just the right spot. We're going to use those ridges to help guide our grappling hook to right where we want it to go. So if we look closely, we can see that the ridges come all the way to the front on one side and don't quite reach the back on the other side. We want the front ridges at the very front of our projectile gun. Once again, let's start by using a tiny bit of our hot glue to attach this tube onto the front of this gun, and then we'll go over it with tape to really secure it in place. The body of our little grappling hook launcher is starting to take shape at this point. Let's take a clothespin and add it onto the back of the pencils as a firing mechanism. Our little gun doesn't have any power yet, and that's what we're going to be using our rubber bands for. Let's just cut one of our rubber bands in half to start with. The rubber bands are going to be attached onto the side of this front barrel. But we can see that if we use the whole rubber band, there's not a lot of power when we pull it back into the clothespin. That's barely enough to move it at all, so we want to tighten this up. And we won't use the whole rubber band, we'll pull it tight until we only have a very small loop, just big enough to fit our finger in behind the marker. Trim off our excess rubber band here at the front. And now we want to use a small dab of hot glue and then plenty of tape to hold just the front of this rubber band in place. We don't want to secure the rubber band all along the whole pen body, or there won't be enough elasticity to reach the clothespin. The 2 rubber bands really have a lot more strength and resistance to them than the 1. Most of the gun body is built, so it's time to start making the grappling hook itself. Let's grab our pen and 3 paper clips. For this grappling hook, we're not going to need most of the internal bits of our pen. Let's take those apart. We can leave the back cap in as just the front of our grappling hook. Mostly we're just trying to get the tube body of the pen, but let's set it aside because we are also going to want the small plastic collar that the ink cartridge fits into. We now need to bend our 3 paper clips into a hook shape and attach them onto our pen. Start by taking about the bottom quarter of our paper clip and bending a slight angle into it. You can see that once we attach that onto the pen, it will angle away from the pen body, and now we need to add a second bend to make it more of a hook. Let's bend our other 2 paper clips into the same shape as this one. Our 3 paper clips are bent into hook shape, so now we need to attach them onto the back of the pen. Let's use a little bit of hot glue and then some tape to secure them in place. With our 3 paper clips attached, our grappling hook is mostly ready to be used. If it doesn't look like you've got quite enough angle into the hooks, you can still bend them a little bit farther so that they'll grab onto things a little better. Now, because our grappling hook isn't going to be much good unless we can pull it back to us, let's pull out a length of the floss that we've got and attach that onto the back of our hook. It's hard to know exactly how much we'll need, but let's pull out plenty. Plus, it's just fun to pull out floss. That should do it. To attach our floss, we're going to be using that little collar that we took off of the ink cartridge, and are going to attach that into the back of our grappling hook. First, let's feed our dental floss in through the front of that collar, and then out the side. And now, with that piece extended sideways, we can fit this into the bottom of our hook, and it should hold it nicely in place. We can also trim off the extra floss. Grappling hooked. We can now test fire our grappling hook to see what kind of distance we're getting off of it. Let's pull our rubber bands back into the jaws of our clothespin, and then load the grappling hook in through that tube. It will pull the dental floss string after it, which is just what we want it to do. Now, by pressing down on the clothespin, our grappling hook should fire. Nice. Well, looks like after it fired, we got to about here with our dental floss. So let's add another 18 inches or so and trim it right there. Now, we don't just want all of this dental floss just flying around as we're using our gun, and that's what we're going to use this other piece of marker for. This is going to be a spool that we can wrap the dental floss around when we're carrying our grappling hook, and then when we fire the grappling hook, it will all unravel quickly, trailing behind our grappling hook. Let's use a hot glue gun to attach the cap portion of our spool onto the body of our dental floss container. This is a pretty smooth surface, so to be sure our glue sticks, let's rough that up using our X-Acto knife. With the glue cooled, we should be able to pop the body of our marker right off of the cap. This is how we can temporarily attach our floss onto our spool mechanism. Let's just take the end of the piece of floss, lay it across the cap, and then press the body of our spool down into the cap. This is what will hold it in place. But we also want to wind all of our floss around the spool, and it's going to be easier to do that before we attach it to the cap. So let's take this off, and making sure that we leave an inch or two in the back, let's begin winding our floss all the way around our marker spool until our grappling hook is on a short leash. Just as a quick test, we can see that if we just pull this dental floss, it comes off the spool very easily. And now we can just take that piece of floss and once again have it cross over the cap and then press our spool down into it, and it should be held nicely in place. Now if we load up our gun by pulling back the rubber band into the jaws of the clothespin, we can fit our grappling hook down the barrel, and we can see that our floss tether isn't just hanging everywhere, it's well attached to our spool, and when we fire, it comes off nicely. After we fire the grappling hook, we can wrap the floss back up, and it's ready to go for another shot. Our little grappling hook is working pretty well, but I don't think it's quite the style of something Batman would use, so let's see if we can take a little bit of paint and tape and make this into something that Batman would be proud to hang on his utility belt. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you aren't a subscriber yet, just hit the bomb to get in the club. If you missed our last video or need to check it out again, click up here at the top. Click down there if you want to see what the internet thinks that you should be watching next. That's it for now. Have fun, be safe, and see you tomorrow.